Hey guys, today we're just going to look at a quick chapter, which, as you know, is going to be a lot shorter than anything we read in Gorges. And this time we've got some relatively simple goals to have a look at, because the points being made in this chapter are a lot simpler. Let's have a look. So we're going to outline a summary of Book 1, Chapter 3. And we're going to basically name and define key terms, but really none of these key terms will be words that you don't know. We'll have to know that there will be key concepts that are put together to help us generate an argument. And then we will inquire into the nature of who should and who shouldn't study political science. So just to recap, remember political science was the science of all sciences because it was an umbrella term for other sciences, and its end was the overall good of society, of which all the ends of other sciences are subordinate to. So that's something to remember. So quickly score yourself on those. Okay, forgot where I was up to because of the phone, but we're going to inquire into the nature of who should or who shouldn't study political politics. And so, just to get you thinking about a key issue that's brought up in this concept, I just want you to imagine that you're a young single bloke and you're having fun. What would you do to have fun if you're out with the boys? That's what I would like to draw. Make sure it's appropriate. Do you understand what I mean? But draw a picture of what you would do if you're out with the boys having fun, because this ends up being, well, something we should consider when we're thinking about who should and shouldn't study the political sciences that are used to govern the way the rest of the world works. Okay, so take a note. No, sorry, so can you get those things completed for me? All right, in this section, we start off with a warning, and the warning is that because of language and because of the way that we think, we can only be as precise or accurate as this subject allows us to be. And that's because also, when we think about any actions that are just or any actions that are noble, they'll always vary. Okay? There's a lot of variety in what these things are. So therefore, finding the commonalities between them or finding any more abstract trends is going to be quite difficult. So be mindful of the fact that we can't be that precise. We can only be approximate. Take a note. Then Aristotle moves on to a quick discussion about who should study the political sciences. Who would make a good student? Who would make a bad student? What's appropriate? What's not? Who should study these political sciences? And his answer is that the person who can be the best judge of a particular field of knowledge is someone who's had a lot of experience in it. So a person who can think about political science is someone who's got to have experienced a lot about what the good is already. You can only really know the subject and know the subject well if you've studied it or you've studied, things that are very, very closely associated with it. Take a note. What then logically follows is that he says, do not let young men study political science. The reason for that is because they're too inexperienced and they often follow their passions, not reason, which can lead them to a vain pursuit of self-interest rather than thinking about what is actually good. And the only person who's capable of really pursuing the political science is someone who has the capacity to exercise reason and logic to its utmost extreme. And if you don't do this, there will be no benefit. You need to make sure that people that are practicing it are people who can exercise reason. Otherwise, you'll get no benefit from the pursuit of the political sciences. And that's it. So take some notes. And now I want you to think about these success criteria. You know why we drew a picture of a young adult man. Think about whether or not the person in your picture can actually be put in charge of studying political philosophy. And I think maybe by political philosophy, we're talking about it in the old ancient Greek sense, the study that says, how do we actually understand the rest of the world? Therefore, by understanding the rest of the world, what do we do with society? How do we run society? What areas of inquiry do we pursue in order to pursue the good? And how do we ensure that the greatest amount of good is something that someone can achieve or provide society? Okay. These are really important things. Can that young man in your picture do that? We should have answered that success criteria. We've inquired into who should and who shouldn't have studied political science, and we should have easily named and defined some key terms. Cheers.